Hi, my name is Ellie Brocklehurst, and with me today is my beautiful friend and co-host Beck Nadalo, and together we are full-timers. As two working mums with small children and hubbies in tow, we've come to the realisation that the best way to define us, and a lot of people out there, is that we're full-time. Full-time mums, full-time wives, full-time employees, friends and daughters. And with all that full-time comes with it a lot of weight, obstacles and constraints, but also a lot of great opportunities. We've been searching for somewhere to validate our feelings about what it takes to be a woman in today's world. So rather than continue that search, we thought, let's start it. Welcome to the Full-Timers Club. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Full-Timers Club. I'm Ellie.
And I'm Beck.
So if you listened to our first episode, you'll remember that for me specifically, 2025 has been all about intentions. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And since then, and since going back to work a few weeks ago, I just want to talk about how I've already applied that and really just give myself a little pat on the back. I really found like I got super overwhelmed last year with all the workload, with being a mum of two, with the mental and emotional load that came from being a parent and being a full-time parent. So I feel like I was very bad at managing my time. Mm. And that's probably because I don't think I did. Like I feel like last year was just a race to finish.
I think you were in survival mode.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like a negative survival mode. It wasn't like I was so stressed or worried. It was just, I don't think I knew how to exist in that stage of my life. Yeah. So this year I was like, right, time management is literally the thing that I'm going to like really nail. So before I get into how I feel like I'm building that for myself, I want to ask you what you do, because to me personally, I've always felt like you've been able to master that. Like you've always felt like you knew how to do something on time, effectively, efficiently, in like the best way. So I just want to know, do you practice kind of time management?
So I would say that one thing that people have often said to me is, you seem like you're good at time management. I don't.
Said that.
Yes. And you're not the first person. However, I think it's deceptive because it's not that I'm good at time management. If I have like a superhero power, it's that I'm really fast at things.
Okay.
Which makes it look like I'm really good at time management because I can get a lot of stuff done. So they're like, wow, like you must be really good at like packing a lot into your day or like managing your time. But actually I'm not great at, I wouldn't say I'm bad at managing my time. I don't do anything, I don't think, particularly special. But I'm just able to work. And I think I've always been like this. And maybe it's sometimes at the compromise of like quality and depth. But I'm able to do things really quickly and do a lot of things, which then means it's like in what I can achieve in one day is often what a lot of people might take a week to do. And so it looks like I'm really good at time management.
But you're just good at output.
But I'm actually just really fast and a ruthless prioritizer.
I think it's the latter. Like I think you know, like I feel, and I think it is a superpower actually, because I remember when we were at BBDO, you were very good at just being like, I can't talk to you, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, I have to work. And you'd put on your headphones and you get your pieces of paper and your black marker and you just like write a deck.
Yeah.
You know, like whereas I feel like, and maybe it's because I'm starting to write more decks, right, in this new job, and I did my last job, but more so now that I feel like I get distracted.
Yeah, okay. So maybe you are right in the sense, maybe this is not a conscious thing I do, a subconscious. Like when I'm in a flow, I'm in a flow. And I often, like the headphones is like the signal to everyone that I'm in a flow and I'll just smash something out. So I can do that really quickly.
Yeah.
And then I will say to people like, just don't bother me, or I'll go into like a corner, headphones on, cross-legged, and people know, okay, don't bother Beck when she's like that because she's doing something important or she's in the middle of something. And so I get quite ruthless with like, when I put my headphones on, I'm in that zone doing that one task. However, I feel like I was better at doing that when I was doing deep work. So like when I was a strategist and I was more like practitioner, I would do that. Now that I'm across so many things and I'm not doing depth of work, I'm doing much more around like breadth of work because I'm overseeing stuff and I'm doing finance and I'm doing this and people and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes I worry that I am a bit schizophrenic in that, like, I'll start one task and then halfway through that I've started another one and I'm onto something else. And I still get stuff done, but it's probably not in the most effective manner or efficient manner.
Interesting.
And I think that's because I'm not doing deep work as much anymore. I'm doing like just 10,000 things.
So in researching for this topic, I was going to bring this up later, but I'm going to cut into my Word doc and bring it in somewhere else. The Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting because I hadn't heard of it. Pomodoro means tomato. I'm still not understanding why that's like a correlation, but anyway. And it's 25-minute. So you set yourself a task, you've got 25 minutes to do it, and you set a timer and you do it.
Yeah.
So I put it to work this morning because I had to do these peer reviews and I kept being like, I put it off. And I was like, 25 minutes feels like a good amount of time to give myself. Oh, very effective. It's almost like because I put the timer on my phone as well, if anything pinged up anywhere, I just didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
Anything else. So I feel like maybe that's something that if you've got so many little things or bitty things to do.
Yeah.
Maybe breaking it up in groups of 15 or 25 might work.
Yeah, and knowing that you've got a set timeline for it and you create the space where you're not going to get distracted and you can just like get shit done.
Yeah. So for the last few weeks, as I said, I've been like putting this into practice. I'm building like myself a ritual. So every single morning I sit down, I get to work, I get my coffee, I sit down, I pull out my iPad, I open my one daily planner.
Are we down to one now?
Yeah, I found one I really, really,
well
really
done.
like. Yeah,
well done.
Yeah, I'm really, and I think because I've been able to adapt it to what I need, so I can add like line pages to sections, but it's all on a calendar. So everything sits within the day itself. So yes, I'm very pleased with that. If you listen to the previous episodes, you'll understand. So I sit down and I literally write, I look at the tasks I'd set myself the day before and I write anything else that I have there. And then I go to my calendar and I literally block it out. Yeah. So I go, right, if my time's really poor that day, I'll prioritize my most important and I'll do my calendar that way. And I have to say, like, I've really loved it. And then the end of every day, I do the same thing. I pull my iPad out, I get out my planner, I go through, I make sure I've either ticked off what I definitely had to. Yeah. And then if there's anything that I'm like, look, I'll carry it over to the next day, I do it that day. So then when I come in the next morning, the first things on my calendar are the things that I was meant to do the day before. So
this is one thing that people often say is, and I know I do this all the time, like you procrastinate the tasks that you don't want to do. And they always say, get those ones done first because you are going to continue to procrastinate them. I'm so bad at that. But I also feel like if I'm not busy, I will procrastinate things for much longer than if I'm really busy. I just get I'm pumping stuff out.
I've been trying to think about what makes me procrastinate. I think there's two things. It's either things that I know will take a while that I'm kind of like, oof, I don't want to sit here for 4 hours, or like something where I'm like, it's going to require me writing an entire presentation where I'm like, maybe I need to break it into bits so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And the second thing is things that I feel like I'm not adequately able to respond to. So like if it's a brief that I feel like sits with me and I've got to then get it to the team, sometimes I push it to the side because I feel like I'm not sure I know how to answer it. So then I don't. Yeah. And so I'm trying to get better at that. And actually one of my little hacks this week has been, and shout out to Mel Daniels, who is my new colleague at TBWA, ChatGPT. You use it?
Every day.
You've used it every day?
I think this is like a whole nother topic, but the amount of AI platforms I use now that just cut things in half for me, whether it's like work perspective, personal, professional, everything, is amazing. So, okay. Can I tell you about some of the tools?
Yes. Well, no, hang on.
Okay, you tell me.
No, before this. This reminds me of the fact that you are actually far more technologically savvy than I've ever felt you are, because this is like the finance episode. This is like where you're far more advanced, and I feel like you've been hiding this secret from me.
Do I strike you as someone who's not financially or technologically advanced? What's giving you that impression?
You know what it is? I think it's because...
Is it my new haircut?
It's not your new haircut. I'm wondering if it's because you... And this is... Oh, God, I don't think this is coming out the wrong way. Like, you haven't shared that with me. Like, you haven't
maybe
said... Hey, like, you know how this whole week I've been like, oh my God, have you used this? Oh my God, have you?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe it's because you haven't, and so therefore I don't think you're as equipped as maybe you are. But I would love to know what you're using, because I'm a novice. I've literally ChatGPT. Yeah. and a couple of the tools that we have in our company, because we are really honing in on our AI capability. So I have been learning a lot in the last few weeks, but in terms of my use of it, it feels pretty immature.
Yeah. Okay.
What are yours?
I mean, there's lots of different ones. I would say on a daily basis, ChatGPT for sure.
Yeah.
So Roman's lunches, I'll just put in there like come up with recipes for school lunches using these ingredients. Don't use these ingredients, and it will give you an entire meal plan basically. One of my friends even put in there, this is how many calories I want to eat in one day. Give me a bunch of recipes. Don't use these ingredients. Like, it's incredible. You could build an entire nutritional plan or fitness plan or whatever you want just within ChatGPT. So I'll use it from like a personal point of view. And then there are tools like Perplexity that I'll use professionally, every single day. And the thing that I find, and then the other one I use is like Canva.
Oh, yes. Okay.
5,000 times a day.
Yeah. Yep.
I work with a separate charity and I do a lot of their social media content. I'm not a designer by any means, but everything is just done on Canva. And the thing that I love about all of this stuff isn't that it replaces the thinking. It just means like, if you go from like 0 to 100, 0 being like having to learn a topic or, like create templates for a social media post or think of ingredients or whatever, like it cuts out 50% because it just raises the baseline. So like when you go in to do social stuff, the template's already done. It photoshops everything for you. Like it just makes everything faster and simpler. So you spend more time on other stuff or your productivity increases because you've just cut everything half the time.
I think that's exactly what it is for me. I think I get very nervous when I stare at a blank page.
Yeah.
Like that's, my colleague Mel was helping me kind of come up with this plan for a particular pitch. And I kept saying to her, I was like, I'm not like, I kind of just can't get my head around the points that where I want to start, literally where I want to start. And she was like, no worries. And then just kind of started typing and then.
Totally.
And I was like, and it's not completely correct, but it's such a good foundation for your thinking.
Totally.
That it's just, I mean, honestly, like we are, as I said, as a company, really like driving home the message that AI is all about pushing the amount of creativity and strategic thinking you can have with it. But I don't know if I now think I haven't used it enough, and now I'm like,
just use it in everything you do.
Yeah,
have the app on your phone and use it as, instead of going to Google where you would write, find me recipes for this, go to ChatGPT instead and say, use these ingredients. This is how many days I want. My child doesn't like this.
So good.
You'll get an entire plan. And you can use that for anything, right? Like it's pretty incredible. And from a work perspective, I'll use it a lot, not necessarily to give me the answers, but like just to spark thinking or thoughts. Or it almost might give you, because if this is like what it's coming up with, how can you come up with the opposite? Like it gives you the what not to do as much as what to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
And I think mothers, I shouldn't even say mothers, full-timers should be looking, and actually we should be sharing a lot of this stuff as well, like thinking about what are all the tools and resources that are available to me to make my time more productive, more efficient, squeeze more out of it. Because, I think the entire topic we're talking about here is like time for me is the greatest currency I have. Like it's the one thing I can't buy more of.
Yeah.
I can buy most things. Health is one thing I can't, and time is the other one.
Yeah.
And so anything that helps me create more time or give me back time or save time, anything like that, I'm willing to pay a premium for because it's just my currency right now. I just don't have as much of it.
I think that's the thing. I think from a work point of view, I'm probably saying this way too early in the year. It's like January, but I feel really confident in the structure that I've set myself for how I'm going to effectively do that. And I like this idea of using it as a way to address the life part of work-life balance, because that's maybe the area that I'm struggling with is like, how do I find time for the life part of me, which is my kids and my husband and my family. And I read this really great line, credit to ChatGPT. But forget about being balanced. Balance is a myth designed by people who don't have toddlers.
Yeah.
I just really loved that because I really identify with that feeling because, you know, I think I said this in the other episode, is one of the things I'm trying not to do is be on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do a lot of the things that I need to kind of address that, like, you know, search for menus or figure out what we're going to do for the week or whatever is on a device. So then trying to like not be on my device and be with the kids, but then they kind of need me, but you're meant to be on helping them figure out what they're going to do. Like, it just feels like I'm constantly, I don't know, it just feels like there's always this good intention to do the right thing, and I always feel like I'm not doing the right thing either way.
You're so hard on yourself though.
Yeah.
Like that, the language you're using right now of like, I try and do this, but I'm just not. And I, you know, like you're so hard on yourself. I think you need to give yourself a bit of a break as well, because you are doing so much. Like the things that you're faulting yourself for are so trivial that Johnny and me are never going to grow up in the and one day turn around and be like, yeah, my mum was on her phone way too much looking at recipes for my school lunches. Like,
but then I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't you get all those shitty things on Instagram that are like, don't spend time on your phone and your kids are going to be like turn into monsters if you spend 2 hours on your device. Like, I feel like I'm being fed that stuff, and it's, you know, it's exacerbating my anxiety that I already feel about the fact that I work really hard, or, you know, I'm not at home all the time at night. Like, it's just, I
mean, those things are created for clickbait, right?
Yeah.
And this is, we talked about it in another episode around comparison culture. This is what social media is designed to do. It's either designed to give you a dopamine hit so you keep coming back for more, or make you feel like shit so you seek solace and refuge in social media. Like, honestly. And
no, I know, it's so bad.
You have to just be more discerning around the messages that you take in. Don't let it affect you like that, because it's so not, you know, of course, yes, spending X many hours is going to, but like, come on, Ellie, you're hardly, I don't think you're sitting on the couch scrolling on your phone while Johnny and Mia are like screaming at each other or screaming at you, and you know, like, so don't be so hard on yourself. But I think this is a key thing, is if you've got 24 hours in a day and time is the greatest currency you have, it's about how do you maximize the time that you have. And sometimes maximizing it might be doing nothing because you haven't done nothing the entire week, and that's completely okay. And I think we also have to stop thinking about quantity of time and thinking about quality of time, because you could go out for dinner with Will for 3 hours and sit there and have like an average meal and not talk or whatever. And that's, you know, 3 hours. Or you could spend 20 minutes before bed having a really good chat about your day. And it's like 3 hours versus 20 minutes. It's not about the quantity of time, it's about the quality of time. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is the other thing I've learned in this life stage, is reframing all of that.
Yeah.
So it's not so much about, how much time have I spent on anything, but how productive or how much have I maximized that time?
I like, so really what we're saying is the value of time.
Absolutely.
So here's maybe a pessimistic view of it, right? Is that I think you're talking very optimistically about, or very positively about, how you can find great time as a parent and as a couple.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if the value of so we think about when we do something, right? Like, you know, we're both full-time mums, both full-time workers, and we'll often have a situation where one of us will have to pick up a kid, or one of us gets a call from the school and they're sick, or, you know, one of us is always going to have to do something to sacrifice their time. And I'm not saying this necessarily from experience, because I think Will does a very good job of kind of supporting us, creating a supportive environment. But don't you think there's just this really weird sense that the expectation is on the woman to sacrifice her time in order to deal with that, or to deal with the family? Like, whilst I agree that building in quality time is important, I also want there to be a conversation about how do you actually value time? And in that respect, like, how do you, I don't know, I just feel like as mothers, there's this kind of expectation, maybe it's even like a pressure, that responsibility falls to us.
Oh, 100%. But I think I think this is such a fundamental, I think expectation is probably the right word, that mums are the primary caregivers and therefore the responsibility sits with them. And traditionally men have been the breadwinners, and therefore their time in terms of, or how you split time, men look after the money and the work, women look after the house and the home and the child. And even though society has moved on and we have moved on, you know, in our household, I'm the breadwinner. And thankfully, I don't feel like I experience this at home, but I don't think society has moved on from that. And therefore, it still means that women's value is often linked to the child and the home, and therefore time is attributed to that.
But you're even saying primary caregiver, right?
Yeah.
If you're two working parents.
Oh, totally. And that's why I say society hasn't moved on.
So how do you then, I think that's the thing is how do you, I think obviously it's a conversation within the couple itself to address the fact that value is important and my time is as precious as your time and that kind of thing. But I think I'm trying to understand how, like, I feel like if, and this definitely has been the case with my new job, Will has definitely lent in and done things to help me out more. But my God, the guilt that I then feel for the fact that I'm not the one doing it.
Yeah. Oh, mum
is
guilt.
Enormous.
Mum guilt is debilitating.
It is. It sucks.
It really is. So the other night I had, what was this? It was a Friday night. So I'm home out of 5 working nights. I'm home probably 4.
Okay.
So I do Pilates on like a Tuesday. Oh no, what night do I do? Thursday night. But every other night I'm home. And then last week it was Friday and I went out for dinner with some friends and I put Roman to bed most nights and he's like, we have a beautiful little routine. And that night I said, Mummy's going out. And he was fine. And then as I went to leave, he just like kicked off and he was like, Mummy. And my friends were downstairs in the car waiting for me to pick me up. And then if that was Andrew, he'd just be like, bye, buddy.
Yeah.
And if Roman cried, he'd be like, it's all right, because he'll stop crying in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I then stood in the lift well listening to him cry and it absolutely killed me. And I was like, I just texted the girls. I was like, it's all good. I'll just catch up with you guys in a little bit. I'll drive myself. And I went in and put him to bed and then I left. And Andrew was like, why did you do that? And I was like, because I can't let my baby cry.
Yeah.
The mum guilt. Even though I know there's no long-lasting impact on him, I just couldn't do it. And I felt guilty for putting my time ahead of his, or like myself ahead of him. It's debilitating.
It is. I actually, it's like another little story was, so I've always, Will might disagree with this, but I think I've always maybe been lead parent in terms of the love of my children. Yeah. For a little while. And, you know, it's always flips and flops, right? Especially Johnny, he always tends to kind of love me a bit more than he loves Will and then loves me and then loves more. But the last week or two, it's all about Will. Like even Mia's like, I'm like, where's Mama? And she's like, Dada. And I'm like, no, Mama. And she goes, Dada. And then just walks off and then goes to Dad. And like, it's really sweet. But there's such a like cluster of emotions for me in that moment. And it is happiness that my children adore their father, because I think there's no better thing in the world than that.
Yeah.
Envy that they somehow want to be with him and not with me.
Yeah.
Anger that at myself for feeling envious of Will and then like guilt because have I done something to then make them do that?
So many complex emotions.
So many emotions. And I sit there and sometimes I kind of like I laugh it off, but I actually think deep down there's like some real like hurt and angst.
Yeah.
But then it's like, so it's almost like you cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Like I want to work. I want to be full-time work. I want to be a full-time mom. I want to try and do it all. And maybe this is where what you're talking about hits me so hard is just this, I am trying to be everything to everyone.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. And I think a lot of women and full-timers are feeling exactly the same thing. You're not the only one feeling this. I think a lot are. And I think, I mean, the only way I can reconcile this is coming back to the quality time thing. So it's about dedicating your time to doing particular things, and when you're doing them, like being present rather than trying to split yourself into 50 different things, and then ruthlessly prioritizing where you do put your time.
Yes, you've always been very good at this. I think you've always been very good at like, you know, doing your Pilates and you do your dinners out, and do you structure that into your week? Like, do you plan ahead for that stuff?
Like I know Sunday at 11 a.m. and Thursday 7 p.m. is Pilates. And then the rest of it, actually, no, I just kind of work around.
Mm.
But I always have a pretty good sense of like what the week looks like and where I need to. I think the bigger thing, I just know where I need to put my energy, and where is going to create impact. And I think this is. I wasn't at Meta for a really long time, and I have very strong views of Meta at the moment. But in the short time I was there, the thing I learned the most was ruthless prioritization of like, you just got to look at what's going to have the most impact, and all of that busy work that I think we otherwise do, like just forget it because it doesn't actually create impact. And that can be just as much like around the house as it is in the workplace and with your kids and whatever else. So it's about, what's going to create the most amount of impact. So to me, like bedtime, for example, is I will prioritize that because I know like that's like
Good
mine
time.
And Roman's special time.
Yeah.
That's when we sit and cuddle and kiss and like
he
says, I love you, mummy. And 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning when like we're playing Lego, it's lovely, but Andrew can do that. I can go to my Pilates. So it's like, it's knowing where to spend your time and energy. And then, similarly at work, I do like one-to-one catch-ups with people and we'll go and grab a coffee or something. And I know, okay, that's, an hour and there are other things I could be doing. But actually, if I think about impact, that hour to that person is probably going to mean more to them than if I quickly do a few tasks. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just knowing. And I think this is, again, like as I'm getting older, busier and more senior, it's like an obsession with impact.
Yeah.
What's going to create impact?
I found myself this week. So Will is doing the, usual 35-year-old, I'm going to become a triathlete situation. Yep. Which I support.
That's great.
I support you, Will, 100%.
I think it's awesome.
It is. So as a result, he was like, I'll be exercising lots. And I was like, that's cool. And so he was really then supportive of being like, if I'm going to have time, I want you to have time.
Yeah.
Which I love, which is great. So he's gone every day this week.
To do what?
Exercise of some kind.
Okay. What time?
A mix, like 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay, cool.
Last night he went at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
He goes at lunchtime.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I wish I had that discipline.
Do you know how many times I've been?
How many?
0.
But I thought we said last week intention.
I know. Shit gets in the way. But I also think I really am just I feel like I'm just excusing it away. I feel like I'm always like, oh, my kids need me, or like last night Will was like, come join the gym with me, and I was like, no, I think he wants me to put him to sleep. Yeah. So I feel like I'm just always looking for an excuse not to do something, and I don't know. It's not because I love exercise, so I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's, again, I'm wondering if it's just inherent in me that there's some underlying guilt of just, I shouldn't let somebody else do what I can do for my kids.
And I think there's this underlying thing that women have of like, if I don't do it, something might go wrong. Or if I'm not there, something might go wrong. Or he's going to ask for me, which like, that's okay. Let him ask for you.
Yeah.
You know? So I think you need to, I mean, this is advice for myself just as much, is recognize that you don't need to be the one that does everything. And it is okay for them to ask for mummy, because you will be back in like an hour, you know, like it is okay.
Yeah.
Other people can do things. You don't need to do everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is like classic, you know, the whole delegation thing. How many women I know who struggle with delegating because they're like, but if I don't do it, it won't get done properly. Yeah. Which I totally get. And this is one of the biggest challenges I have. And so it's like, okay, sometimes that's okay. You know what? That's all right. If it doesn't get done perfectly, if it's 60% just as good for certain things, that's okay. And you have to learn to be okay with that. Not everything has to be perfect.
I wish there was like, maybe I should ask ChatGPT, actually. I wish there was something or someone to tell me how to do this better. Like, I know you're telling me how to do this better. I appreciate that. But, you know, from a work point of view, right, there's heaps out there, like time management tools. I've downloaded ChatGPT. I've got like planners. Like there's ways, you know, and then I look at all those bloody Instagrammers, people who are like, I like schedule in my meditation time, and like they put little icons next, and I'm like, I have time to like make my diary look pretty. It's like, you know, I want there to be an app that like when it wakes me up in the morning, it's like, get up. Like,
Get up.
Go to the gym.
I mean, you could just set an alarm and like make it really like, you could record yourself saying like,
Get up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I should, because that's the thing, right? Because it goes off and I'm like, snooze.
I mean, that comes back to intention and discipline.
Oh my
right?
God, I know. See, this is why I need this theme.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I'm actually a goner. I really am a goner.
I've been really proud of myself this week for my discipline. There's been quite a few things, whether it is as small as standing at the snack cupboard at work, staring at like Kit Kats, cookies, cheezels, and then walking away and being like, you know what? I think I'll just wait until dinner.
Yeah.
Or doing my exercise, or doing the add to cart thing, and then going, you know what? Add to cart, like when you shop online shopping and you add to cart.
Yeah.
Add.
Well, then you don't buy.
And then I just like stop and go, hang on a second, do I really need another black dress?
Oh.
Probably not.
Is that like a thing that people do?
Online shopping?
You mean you intentionally add it to your cart?
Oh, no, like as in like I'm online shopping.
Oh.
And then like I add things to my cart and then I'll like go to buy something and then I'm like, do you know what? I actually don't need this. Like,
so that's like when I write an email that I'm like really angry about and I write the email, put it in my drafts, and then the next morning I wake up and reread it.
Yep.
Same thing, right?
I'd love to see how many emails you have you have like 103 drafts to like, dear Karen, last week, blah, 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 blah.
It's something my dad taught me because I've had just, in the past, professionally mostly than anything else, I've just had instances where someone's like, not done me wrong, but like I feel like I've been done wrong. And so he's always been like, write it all out, exactly how you feel, articulate every single emotion you can feel, and then just let it sit there and then sleep on it. And the next morning.
And don't put their email address in the to.
Never.
Because then you have that default thing where you're like, done, click, send, and then you're like.
See, do you know what I've done at work?
What?
Not for this reason. I've put a timer on my sending, so it takes 20 seconds. So just so that if I send things, I click send, and then it will send it in 20 seconds.
So that you have 20 seconds to recall it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I really like it. Or like sometimes if I send something like crap, I didn't attach something. Or if I send it to a client, I'm like, actually, no, I don't know if I want to say that. Or and I have actually done the undo quite a few times.
Oh.
I really like it.
Huh.
Takes out the anxiety of sending an email a bit.
Didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, look at that. I'm more technologically savvy than you. I'm more technologically savvy than you.
There you go. You are.
With
I
Outlook
do
365.
some like schedule sends.
Oh, yeah, that's
because, well, like one thing I don't like is sending emails on the weekend, even though I might do a little bit of work, but I feel like if I'm sending them on Saturdays and Sundays, people then think they have to respond to me on a Saturday or a Sunday. So I schedule it for Monday morning. The one thing, like on the topic of time and valuing time, the one thing I do feel more and more, and my dad always says this to me, he's 73, how fast time is going.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm finding it a little bit depressing. Like,
do you find yourself, I was literally thinking about this morning because my daughter for some reason has been like waking up at like midnight and then it's 3 and then and she's got this she's fine, she's just I think she's just protesting. She's at that point like 16 months when they start like realizing they can like really push your buttons. And, I mean, mum thinks I'm getting it back for what I did to her, but she's very much like me, so she's really pushing my buttons.
Okay.
But I find myself getting upset because I'm wishing that I just wish she was 4. I just wish I could get through this. I hate being woken up at night.
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself that I
wishing time away.
Yeah. And then like I don't, and I don't, because actually I think this time they're such a ball of fun. Like Mia is hilarious. Like she's just I don't know, she like does this thing where she goes like, no. And I'm like, excuse me. So I don't wish it away. I think I just wish away the pain of it. Yeah. Like the brutality of what it's like to be a mum of toddlers and a
you're
baby.
in the thick. You are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
You really are. I remember feeling like that when Roman was a baby. Like
your newborn.
I fucking hated newborn. I really struggled with the newborn stage.
Yeah, you did.
And I remember wishing time away, but then I was like, I feel guilty for wishing it away. But I just feel like at the moment, life is going so fast and I find it depressing. And I feel like, it's not that I mourn for my old life, but it's like it feels so long ago. And then, I'm 39 this year. I have a 3.5-year-old and I look at Roman and he says stuff to me and I just look at him and go, where is my baby gone? Like, stop time. Just stop it. And life is just going too quickly. And it freaks me out. Like it really, I also think I might be going through a little bit of a, as I kind of said in my last episodes, like not an existential thing, but just like a real realization of like around life and time and priorities and values and principles and like what I want the next 5 years to look like and what's important. Like I just feel like I'm hitting this time of my life where things are really, I'm reflecting a lot. And one thing is just how fast time is going.
You're saying, I think like two different things. One is you want time to stand still with your family, which I totally echo. And then the other thing you're saying is like mourning your youth.
A little bit. This is why youth is totally wasted on the young because you don't even know what you have at that time.
It's so true. It really annoys me that that's saying true because when I was young, people used to say that and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, shut up.
But oh my God, it's so true. Like, you know, I think I sometimes get this. I actually had this feeling. I think I said this to you. When I got made redundant, Will went back to Singapore. Remember I was down the coast and he went back to Singapore and I was in Merimbula by myself with my husband, with my mum and my brother and my kids. And I was in this really weird funk of like, I didn't have a job. I just got made redundant. I really didn't know my own value or worth. I just had 2 kids. I was super postpartum and I just, for like a split second was like, wouldn't it be cool to be 24? And just not have any of these problems. Yeah. And like the kids weren't problems, but it was a little bit like, well, my husband's not here, so I'm the only one at night and I want to make sure they're all fed and oh my God, I also need to work on my CV. And all of a sudden I was like, just being an adult sucks. Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to my brother. I went for a walk with him because I was, I got into a real funk about it and I was like, I just feel like I'm really not unhappy in my life, but just so unsettled with where I was at. And he took me on this walk and I love him so much. He's so philosophical, but he said, well, first of all, it is so unbelievably normal that as we get older, we reflect on our youth. Oh, totally. And he says it just gets worse with age because he's 7 years older than me. So he's like, I've been 7 years ahead of you of this feeling. Yeah. And he said this thing that just really helped, which was he's like, it's nice to just go down there sometimes and just like have a little wave to the old self. Yeah. But like there's no point staying there. Yeah. Because he's like, it's not as good as you think it is. And it's only good because you remember the good times. For sure. You don't remember the hard times. Glasses. Yeah. And it was so nice because it was just, it reminded me that like, not that I needed to be reminded, but it is, I don't feel like that as much anymore. Yeah. I sometimes feel like that when like, you know, when I see people at like festivals. Oh, yeah. I'm always like, that'd be fun. My youth was full of festivals. Yeah. Like that'd be cool. But God knows I would never do that now. Yeah. So there's like, I feel like I know exactly what you mean. I feel like I'm in a weird spot where I'm kind of like, I'd be cool. Like I always think about how cool it'd be when my kids are like 10 and 8. Yeah. Yeah. Just like self-sufficient a bit. Yeah. Well, I think maybe one of the other reasons, just as you were talking on seeing this, we're also at the stage where we are the product of the decisions we made in our youth. Do you know what I mean? So like so deep. That's another JP quote. Sorry. No, as you were saying it, I was just thinking about it because I was reflecting going like the choices we make, for sure. You know, my decision to go and live in New York and then to move to Singapore with Andrew or to do X job. Like we are now living the consequences, whether they're good or bad, of the decisions we made back then. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that's also why it becomes a very reflective time. Yeah. And you're more self-aware. So which can lead to, like it can make you feel a little bit melancholy or it can make you feel really great. Like it's not one or the other. Do you have a butterfly moment? What's the butterfly moment? Yeah, butterfly effect. Yes, the movie, which was horrific. That was a horrible movie. Horrible movie. Oh my God. I was saying this to some colleagues yesterday. I actually like sometimes have like anxiety. Nightmares about it. Was that Ashton Kutcher? Yeah, it was so dark. Yeah. So not that. But I don't even remember what the butterfly effect was. So the whole point is that like with the butterfly's wing, everything can change. Like a flutter of a wing. So pretty much, is there ever been a moment in your life where if you had done like something really small and different, maybe not small, but anything different. Yeah, absolutely. Like the sliding doors moments. Yeah, sliding doors. Yeah. I've never saw that movie, but I assume. You never saw sliding doors? And I always keep going, yeah, I know. Oh, Ellie. I know. Can you please go home tonight and watch Sliding Doors? Sure. It is such a good movie. Is it? I just worry that like
Oh,
I never saw it
love
back
it.
then, and I just think the butterfly effect is like traumatized me for life. Is there anything like that?
No,
is it?
it's so good.
Okay.
It's so good. I mean,
Look, Gwyneth Paltrow when she like
short hair.
yeah, the short hair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
It is such a good movie.
okay.
Okay, you need to watch it. Sliding, of heaps.
I have one real moment in my life where I feel like literally everything would be different.
Okay, what was that?
You'll remember this. So
Ooh.
I talk about this particular choice I made to be like a deep regret, but also the best thing I ever did. Because it was an opportunity to move to Boston.
I vividly remember this. Yep.
And I think, it must have been a while after I moved up here because I knew you. So it was 2 years into maybe living in Singapore.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was feeling a bit like, with work. And this ex-colleague of mine was pretty much handing me this a great opportunity to go work for a tech company that'd be based out of Boston. And it was very much one of those like, it could be yours. Like it would be yours if you want it, but you have to decide if you want it. And so Will and I had a conversation and I'd said, this is, and we were very young at this point. The conversation was pretty much like, if we move, would you move? And he entertained it, not for very long, but he did kind of was like, oh, if I did, I'd be maybe based in New York or like maybe I'd be based in Houston, but like would do distance again. And he's like, I just don't, like we've just done distance for years. Is this something you'd actually want to do? And pretty much the choice became choosing my career or choosing him. So 100% I chose him. Like, cause it was choosing, to me, it became a choice of the life that I want in the future, not maybe the life that I thought would be great right now.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like a no-brainer. Like it was definitely 100% Will. I knew at that point I'd already wanted to marry him. So it was a very clear choice. But I've always just had this like professionally, a little part of me that's been like, it was a really big, good job.
Yeah.
And it would have taken my career in a completely different trajectory because it was like marketing and ops for a tech company. So like I wouldn't even really be an agency. And then they IPO'd. And they all made millions. And they all made millions.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they IPO'd.
Okay, well, that's okay.
But it's fine.
That's fine.
It's no problem.
No problem.
But I think that's the thing, right? Like it was kind of it. So that's what I mean by like it's a regret professionally, like as in like just there's always been a part of me that's like, oh, I wonder what would have happened. But I don't regret it at all because I have my children, I have my life, and I'm incredibly happy. And as you know, and as we said the other week, I'm very happy with where I am. I feel very settled and professionally very motivated. So, but that is the one part of my life where I can guarantee you if I'd made that choice, I would have I don't think I'd even be with Will.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it just would have been too hard. Yeah. And I agree. That's why I made the choice because it was feeling like I'd have to sacrifice that, which I wasn't willing to sacrifice.
Yeah. I have one that was quite a big one. Andrew knows this one, so I don't mind talking about it. I met Andrew in Mexico. I think it was April. Yeah, it was April. And then we had like a bit of a like romance, and then he came and visited me in New York twice. And then we met each other. God, I think we like met each other in Paris. I had to go for a work trip to London. So we'd probably had like 4 extended like trips, weekends and stuff. And then at that point we were chatting every day, and I was like, like this is clearly someone I really, really like. And then an ex who was like, the one,
the ex.
Yeah, the ex came back into my life and was like, this is literally the ultimatum of let's finally get our shit together and be together. And I was in New York at the time, and it was a sliding doors moment. And I will never forget that weekend of being like, I've met this amazing, wonderful human. It's really early. I don't know where this is going to lead. And then there's this other person who for for 10 years I've thought about and thought this might be the possibility one day. And it was totally that sliding doors moment.
God, and you, I mean, obviously made the right choice, Andrew. Love Andrew.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting that you chose the unknown kind of, but like your heart more than what made you feel like really quite comfortable?
Well,
do you think that's what it is? Like it's kind of.
I don't know. I don't know. It was I wouldn't say it was like I don't know how to put this. I don't know what the outcome would have been had I gone the other way. But I guess I
could see a
saw
future.
something in
Yeah.
Andrew that I was like, this is clearly worth continuing. So it's not like, have you made the right or wrong? Of course I've made the right decision because I've got Roman and I've got, you know, like, so of course, and I don't know what the other path would, and that could have been the right decision if I was sitting here in 10 years, you know, like, so it's not, I don't know if you can ever look back and say whether it was right or wrong if nothing, you know, it'd be different if Andrew and I were divorced now and I was like, damn it, I made the wrong decision. But yeah, it was a massive sliding doors moment. And I still think about it sometimes of like, yeah, that.
God, your life would be so different.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's not a right or wrong or good or bad. It's just different. But I'm sure. And actually, I think that is part of the thing of like, as you get older, you reflect more on those moments and you
On the
reflect
choices you make.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And like, you know, when I left New York, was I 100% ready to leave New York? Probably not. And I often think if I had stayed there, where like, what would I be doing? I don't know. I could be like single and nearly 40 and working an awesome job, but miserably lonely, or I could be like, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And I think this is just something that as we get older, we think more and more about of like the consequences of all the choices that we have made in those years.
Yeah.
It's quite deep. And I find it can get a little bit overwhelming sometimes if you let yourself delve too deep into it.
I think that's what my brother was pretty much getting at. I think he was like, based on my experience, there's no good doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's nice
Nothing
to
good
kind
comes
of,
from it.
nothing good go, like, what are you going to do?
Totally.
Make a different choice? Like,
you can't go back.
I think at that point he was like, what are you going to do? Give up your family?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, no, you're so right. Like, that's not even a choice. But, you know, I think it was, sometimes it can be quite a good thing to just self-reflect and be like, actually, my life is pretty amazing.
Oh, for sure.
And then if it's not, then maybe, I don't know, maybe that's worth thinking about.
But reflecting on those things doesn't mean that it's your life isn't awesome. I think it's more just that you like mourning your youth slightly and maybe the lack of responsibility that you had or whatever it is that you are slightly looking at or mourning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, that got deep.
I think what's been so good about this episode, though, is it's literally what we wanted it to be, which is assessing the value of time.
Yeah.
In all regards.
Yeah.
Right? That's past, present, all that kind of, you know, that conversation went that way. Like I think I've been sitting so much in literally time owning my brain like capacity.
Yeah.
Everything to do with time, lack of, too much, procrastinating, all those kind of things. So
yeah,
I'm really glad. This has been a bit longer than our previous ones, but I think it's because we really felt like there's quite a lot to unpack, and a lot I feel like people can probably sympathize with.
Yeah, I'm probably, well, I'm sure people will be listening, nodding their head. I'd love to hear from anyone if they have their own, whether it's perspectives, hacks, thoughts, experiences.
Yeah.
On everything we've talked about. But you need to learn to be a bit kinder to yourself, I think, and give yourself a break. I'll ask you next week if you're going to do that.
You know what? I will. I just need to figure out what that looks like. Like, what does kind of look like to me? Is it just be with my kids? Is it actually, you know what? I went and got a manicure at lunchtime today.
Good on you.
Do you know how nice that was? I was like, I can't remember the last time I just went and got a manicure, because I've tried to every weekend since we got back from Sydney. And I excused it away. I kept being like, no, I got to do this, or no, I got to take the kids there, or no, I got to go do the grocery shopping, or no, I got to do this. So yes, thank you. I will be kinder. And to all those mums, employees, friends, daughters, if you are being hard on yourself, take Beck's advice. We are all trying our best. Yeah. And I think if there are some things that we can put into practice, and that's kind of what I really want to get across today, is there are ways that we can help ourselves and find out what that's going to be for you. And I think there's lots of tools, there's lots of planners, lots of iPads, lots of ChatGPTs. But I think it's just be kind to yourself and figure out a way that's going to make you make better use of your time. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. We're the Full Timers Club. I'm Beck. I'm Ellie. And we'll see you next episode. Bye.